these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about Kareem Hunt visiting the New Orleans Saints, as well as linebacker Anthony Barr. We're also going to be talking about head coach Dennis Allen looking to play some of his starters in week 1 of preseason. And we're also going to be talking about the development of Juwan Johnson. But of course, thank you so much for choosing the State of the Saints podcast, making us a part of your listening and viewing pleasure. I ask that you subscribe to the channel. Before we get started, hit that like button if you enjoy the content. Really do appreciate it. We're really close to getting 10,000 subscribers, and I'm asking for your help. So once again, hit that subscription button if you have not already. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about Kareem Hunt. That's right, Kareem Hunt, the same Kareem Hunt that came out in 2017 in the 3rd round of the NFL draft to the Kansas City Chiefs, took the league by storm, was second in the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation. Of course, that prestigious award went to our very own Alvin Kamara. But we all know what Kareem Hunt is. We saw what he did with the Kansas City Chiefs his first year in the league. Think about this. His first year in the league, this dude won the rushing title. All right. And of course, he had some issues that transpired. Of course, the video that came out, him assaulting a young lady. I want to say it was like in a hotel or one of his apartment building that he was renting out. But it just was not a good look. Unfortunately, he wasn't very open with the Kansas City Chiefs about exactly what happened before the video was shown to the entire world. And he ended up getting released. And the next thing you know, he's suspended for 8 games. He gets picked up by the Browns. He's sharing a backfield with Nick Chubb. And he is not the same guy that we are used to seeing. Now, some people think the guy just fell off a cliff. A guy with this type of talent, it just doesn't go away, right? It's still there, the talent that he possesses. The biggest issue, I feel like there's a difference, right, in Kevin Stefanski and Andy Reid. Andy Reid is arguably one of the greatest play callers of all time when it comes to the game of football. And when you lose a guy like that and you go to a guy like Kevin Stefanski, no disrespect to him, I mean, he's all right, but he's no Andy Reid. It's kind of hard for people to really see what you're made out of. And, you know, of course, I'm just shocked that he's still out here on the street. I would have thought that somebody would have picked this guy up. He's 28 years old. He's a guy that's shared the backfield, all right, with Nick Chubb for the last 4 seasons. Nick Chubb got the majority of the work. He was kind of sprinkled into there, or if Nick Chubb was to go down, you know, he'll come in. But he's been sharing the backfield for the last 4 seasons. So he, you know, in reality, he's 28, but in football years, he's about 25 or 26. So I'm shocked that he's still out there. But this is a good thing for the New Orleans Saints. And the reason I'm saying this is because, well, you already know where I'm going with this. You got Alvin Kamara that's going to be suspended for 3 games. You got Kendre Miller, who has a lot of promise, but he's still a rookie. You got Jamal Williams, who you got from the Detroit Lions. That's a good pickup. But when you add a guy in like Kareem Hunt, that's something special. I don't know if people forgot how special this dude is, but the dude is really special when he got the ball in his hands. And, you know, a lot of people looked at him like how they look at Alvin Kamara. A lot of the qualities that Kareem Hunt has, even Alvin Kamara doesn't have. I feel like these two guys would be really good complementary backs. And I feel like the Saints can do something with this. Look, You got yourself a high potent offense. Well, it looks like one. You got Derek Carr. You got Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. You got a plethora of tight ends. You got Foster Moreau. You got Juwan Johnson. You got Jimmy Graham lurking around. Lucas Kroll. You got talent. But we all know that when it's time to really go out there and put your big boy pants on, right? When you're going up against a team that is tough on defense, phone boot ugly games, you need running backs. You need running backs to be able to pound the rock, to work the clock. And especially when you have a lead, right? If you're putting up these numbers, you want to be able to have some running backs that can be able to keep this lead and also be able to keep some possessions going. So the more running backs that you have, the better. And I hear people talking about, man, isn't this overkill? Wouldn't this be too many running backs? Man, can you have too many of anything if you're the New Orleans Saints? I'm going to say that again. Can you have too many of anything if you are the New Orleans Saints? We have seen this story over and over again. We get all excited about what the Saints have, and we get our Atlanta Falcons on. We start naming players and talking about how we going to win. I'm just being honest. And then all of a sudden, the bottom falls out. You have injury after injury after injury. And then now you're looking pretty desperate, right? You're looking like somebody with their last $2 in Las Vegas, and you putting it all on black, hoping that you hit so you can go home. That's how we be looking sometimes. You can never have too much of anything. I learned that from my good friend Mike Detillier. But seriously, the more running backs that you have, the better this situation will be. And adding Kareem Hunt to the New Orleans Saints roster could be a plus. I like it. I think that it would be a good fit. I think that, you add a guy like this with the ability to be able to run in between the tackles, catch the ball out of the backfield, and also, man, be able to do some things with the football once again that even Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams cannot do. Adding this is a plus, right? You know what you have in Kareem Hunt. You know what you have. A very, very talented guy. And if the Saints can land this guy, first off, it would be a shock based on, what they have in the backfield. I can only imagine him going to the facility and seeing the talent at the running back position. He's probably wondering to himself, how does he fit in? If the Saints can sign Kareem Hunt, this would be a testament to how good at selling this team Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen is. And I will go on record, which I think I can go on record right now. I think that we've seen enough. Dennis Allen is a better recruiter than Sean Payton. Seriously. I feel like Dennis Allen is a better recruiter than Sean Payton. It seemed like when Sean Payton was the coach, we weren't getting many of the high-profile guys. Every now and then you'll get one, a Champ Bailey or Adrian Peterson, but, they were a little bit past their prime. But I'm talking about guys that can come in and still contribute and still have something to offer consistently with the team. You got to give some credit to Dennis Allen. Like I said, if Dennis Allen doesn't pan out as a head coach in the NFL, he may be able to work it out in the college ranks, because the way he's recruited guys and able to bring guys to New Orleans, guys that we probably wouldn't even think about even considering coming to this team, is a testament to how good he is as a negotiator and a guy that can recruit some of these players. So Kareem Hunt still out there. Nothing's official as of right now as the making of this podcast. But if he was to land with the New Orleans Saints, man, that would be a great look. Also came to visit the New Orleans Saints was linebacker Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr came into the league in 2014 out of UCLA to the Minnesota Vikings. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He's had some ups and downs towards the latter end of his career as of late, dealing with injuries. He ended up leaving the Minnesota Vikings, getting picked up by the Dallas Cowboys, spent the season with them, and now he's on the street looking for a new home. He's 31 years old. He still can run. To me, not the best linebacker in coverage. More of a guy that can put his hand on the ground, maybe rush the passer at this stage of his career. But the Saints are looking for depth, and you think that they'll be looking for veteran depth, going towards the beginning of the season, going into the season, I should say. Going into the season. There we go. going into the season, they need depth at the linebacker position, right? I mean, you have Pete Werner, who is a really good linebacker, showed a lot of promise in his second season. Of course, you have Demario Davis, but he's dealing with an injury right now. Don't know the severity of that. The only thing they're telling us is soft tissue. That can mean anything. But hopefully we can have number 56 back. Andrew Dowell, unfortunately, the special teams ace, out for the season. That's unfortunate. He was a guy that was really coming on, filling that role that we need, that Craig Robinson filled for so many years. But the Saints need some help at the linebacker position. You got Zach Bond out there, but at this stage, I mean, what you see is what you get with Zach Bond. I don't expect for the light just to come on. Do I expect for him to maybe play a little bit more than years past? Of course. But Zach Bond is Zach Bond, a guy, who can make a tackle or two, but also a little bit of a liability from time to time. No disrespect, but that's what I've been seeing. All right. If he proves me wrong, then I will gladly come on the podcast and apologize to Zach Bond. But what you see is what you get. But Anthony Barr coming to the New Orleans Saints, he provides some veteran leadership to some of the younger linebackers. He's been in some big games. He's made some plays throughout his career, and adding him would be a plus. Now, the injuries do concern me. The fact that he's 31 years old, the fact that he's been dealing with injuries over the last few years, it's kind of a red flag, right? But if I'm going to go that route, to be honest with you, if I'm looking at linebackers and guys that I'm just taking a fly on, if I'm going with a linebacker, I'm going with somebody that's relatively younger than a guy like Anthony Barr. Yes, he's a veteran. Yes, he's a guy that's been around, seen it all, done it all. But, I want to take a flyer on a guy who I feel like, there's some potential there. I feel like when it comes to Anthony Barr, not too many more seasons he has in him. He'd probably be able to provide a spark, maybe even give you a play that gets you excited and on your feet from time to time. But I just think that the Saints should be looking for someone younger. That's why guys like DeMarco Jackson need to step up. This is his moment. The fact that Andrew Dowell goes down, more than likely, if you're going to be making a team and getting some reps and being a part of the 53, it's probably going to be on special teams. And if you play well enough, who knows? I mean, you can come into the game, maybe have a package or two for you. If you shine there, who knows? The sky's the limit for you. So these young guys need to be able to take advantage of these opportunities if the Saints don't end up signing Anthony Barr. But if they do end up signing him, that's some good leadership there. I don't think that it's going to be earth changing or, anything like that. But I really feel like, he can bring something to the table and be able to add some veteran leadership to the team. Let's talk a little bit about Dennis Allen. Now, Dennis Allen, is a guy that we already just talked about, a shrewd operator, can get guys, to come to the team, convince them to do so, does a really good job in that regard. But we have a lot of questions when it comes to Dennis Allen as a head coach, making the right decision, knowing what to do in certain situations. And, I have to give Dennis Allen a level of respect in this regard. He's not afraid to change things up that doesn't work. He is coming into 2023 and he's doing things differently. I'm seeing a lot of things this year with the New Orleans Saints I didn't see last year. And I think it has a lot to do with him being comfortable in his role. I think last year you had a lot of guys that were Sean Payton layovers, and, a lot of those guys were hired by Sean Payton. And, when you got too many chefs in the kitchen, sometimes, the food is tasting 3 and 4 different type of ways, and that ain't good, right? You know what I'm saying? You want the meal to look good and taste good at the same time. And it normally happens when you have like one chef that everybody is looking forward to seeing, right? And Dennis Allen understands that. He went out here and he got his coaching staff, got guys that he trusts, and he's doing things differently. And one thing that he is doing is allowing these starters to play the first game of preseason. Dennis Allen talked to the media about starting his starters week 1 in preseason.
Yeah, I'm planning on playing starting players in the first preseason game, and then we'll get to where we're at in the second and the third. But I think it's more about it's a new season, it's a new group, and I want to see our guys play.
I like it. I like it a lot. I'll tell you why I like it. Number one, it shows that nobody is beyond reproach. That's what that means. That means that everybody is on an equal playing field as of right now. Now, you have some players that are special, and you got players that stand out among others. But Dennis Allen is letting everybody know that this is a team effort, and we're going to compete, and we're going to play together as often as we can and early as we can, right? And he allowing these guys to go out here and play in this game in preseason, I think is a good idea, because the first game they're playing is against the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. And I can tell you right now, Andy Reid is going to have Patrick Mahomes out there taking snaps. He's going to have Travis Kelce out there taking snaps, because that is what great teams do. They're not sitting around here, putting their players in bubble wrap and saying, you know what, just be ready in September. No. Let's get this thing together. That is why one of the main reasons why a lot of these teams are successful and they're hitting the ground running and they're competing and they're dominating is because they are out here doing preseason. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and all those guys were out there last year doing preseason. Patrick Mahomes was out there doing preseason. You cannot sit around and just wait on guys and be like, man, I just want you to be ready for week one. Because guess what? This is football we're talking about here. This is football. So it's not like a guy has a better chance of getting hurt week one of preseason, and not have a chance of getting hurt in week one during the regular season. There's still a high probability. Injuries happen in a game of football. So by trying to go out there and protect the guy for week one, you can just possibly hold off the inevitable. But having these guys going out there and competing together, the more reps that Derek Carr and Michael Thomas can get together, Derek Carr and Chris Olave, Derek Carr and Shaheed, the tight end room, the running backs, the more that you can get these guys together and on the same page, the quicker it will be and the more efficient it will be week one against the Tennessee Titans. And that is what the New Orleans Saints need. That's what they need the Saints to do. And I think that Dennis Allen is making the right decision. He is definitely making the right decision. I think that it will help the New Orleans Saints offensively, and you won't have to worry about, being on the same page during week one. I think that was the big issue against the Atlanta Falcons, while the New Orleans Saints had to have a 16-point comeback in week one against the Atlanta Falcons, is because I feel like the chemistry wasn't there, and Dennis Allen was holding a lot of guys out, and that chemistry just wasn't there. Guys were not on the same page. They got it together in the fourth quarter, luckily. But you don't want to have to go through that, right? You want to go out there and you want to be ready to rock and roll immediately. And finally, let's talk about Juwan Johnson. First off, I want to say congratulations to Juwan Johnson. He and his wife, they had a baby not too long ago. And you can tell the brother is just glowing right now. There's nothing greater, in my opinion, than the birth of your child. It's an amazing moment. I can remember it like it was yesterday when Paxton was born, being in the hospital, being nervous on that Saturday night leading up to that Sunday morning, when he was born. You think about, all the things that you want to do to protect him. It's an amazing thing. So congratulations to Juwan Johnson. But Juwan Johnson, not only does he have a new child, but he has a new contract as well. The Saints signed him to an extension. And to me, Juwan Johnson is a guy that kind of flies under the radar. I was never a fan of Sean Payton not allowing this guy to play. There were times where Juwan Johnson didn't even dress. And every time Juwan Johnson would go out there and get opportunities to play, he'll make a play. He makes clutch plays. I can remember the game that I just mentioned, the Atlanta Falcons game last year in week one. It was a couple plays that he made that kept drives alive. This guy is a really good player, right? He started off as a wide receiver. He transitioned to a tight end, and he's trying to grow into the role, and he has grown into the role. And the Saints have brought in a lot of different tight ends Foster Moreau. They still got Lucas Kroll, who they got from Pittsburgh as an undrafted guy. And they brought back veteran and fan favorite tight end Jimmy Graham. And Juwan Johnson spoke to the media about learning under Jimmy Graham.
No, I mean, obviously Jimmy has obviously taught me about, just me being a tight end as a whole, what it means. Because obviously there's more than just one tight end. But also, his big thing is red zone. So him just being in red zone, just knowing that mindset is a lot different. Just a big body guy. So just knowing that he's been at different places and knowing how their philosophy is, it's been different for him everywhere, but it's been good.
Look, I think the light was coming on for Juwan Johnson anyway. I like the guy that he is, the receiver that he is. He makes plays. He's learning how to block. He wins from some of those contested catches. And honestly, I think that Juwan Johnson is going to take a step forward in 2023. I think that the addition of Derek Carr, who is known for really, making tight ends pop on the screen, right, and go out there and contribute. I mean, you think about Jared Cook, you think about Darren Waller, you think about Foster Moreau, you think about all these different guys that Derek Carr has worked with in years past and gotten these guys paid, and these guys have found levels of success and found themselves in the process. I think that you'll have this in Juwan Johnson. Now, I still feel like when it comes down to it, I feel like Foster Moreau is probably further ahead of him when it comes to being a all-around tight end. Of course, I forgot to mention, Taysom Hill doing the tight end thing as well. I'm looking for him to, be a little bit more of the gadget guy when it comes to playing tight end. But Juwan Johnson can take a step forward. If he, becomes a better blocker on top of being a really good pass catcher, this dude can be extremely dangerous. We're talking about possible All-Pro. We're talking about possible Pro Bowls. We're talking about a guy that the Saints can be counting on week in, week out, the way they looked at Jimmy Graham back in 2012. He could be that guy. That's how much confidence I have in Juwan Johnson, because once again, every time he hit the field, whether it was, a little sprinkle of Juwan Johnson or a full game, he always makes a play to let you know that he's out there. He scores a touchdown, he converts a third down. He has something. And I'm glad that the New Orleans Saints are giving him an opportunity to show it. And who knows, he didn't sign a long-term deal with the Saints. So if you go out there and you perform, you put yourself in a different tax bracket. I know Saints fans may not want to hear this, but you can put yourself out there where you can take care of your wife and your kids for a long time, by going out there and competing and being one of the absolute best. I think Juwan Johnson can do it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what type of year number 83 is going to have. But I would love to hear from you. What do you all think about Kareem Hunt and Anthony Barr visiting the New Orleans Saints? What do you think about Dennis Allen deciding to play his starters week 1? And also, what do you think about Juwan Johnson's development? Comment down below, like, and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?